Welcome to the Angus Conversation. I'm your host, Miranda Ryman, with my co-host, CEO of the American Angus Association, Mark McCulley. Mark, we're together in person, which is kind of fun. We haven't done this in a while.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We're out here in Denver at the National Western Stock Show. It's beautiful weather so
50
far.
50 degrees and sunny.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful weather and beautiful facilities and lots of people. It's going to be a great weekend. I know this will publish after the weekend is over, but we're looking forward to a great set of shows, and we've had some Angus sales already and some more to come.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a great event, and boy, the weather's been just incredibly cooperative, but I think we're going to hear about it from Brent Vieselmeyer, our guest, to hear about the Foundation Female sale, or Foundation Angus sale, as they call it now. I still call it Foundation Female from back in the day. But no, it's going to be a great event. We got really strong numbers out here. In particular, our pen entries are way up. So, yeah, it's going to be a great event.
And, of course, my favorite part about coming is getting to see breeders and cattlemen from across the United States, but you already got round one of that at Cattlemen's Congress last week.
Yeah, it's, January, when we hit January, we sprint for a few weeks, right? And we start down at Oklahoma City and had another fantastic event down there. And I think, they too had a new arena, a coliseum for us to show in, beautiful facility, incredible lighting. I mean, it was just a great facility, and we had great numbers down there as well, some fantastic and ultra competitive shows, and then a number of sales that go on during those few days, and
kind of the first ones to test the market of the new year.
Yeah, we always kind of say it's a little bit of a pace setter, right? And the demand, the numbers the averages were just incredible. And, the National Angus Bull Sale that the association hosts there, we had just an outstanding set of bulls, some pretty diverse genetics from breeders from across the country, averaged a little over $22,000, which was a new record. And so the demand for those bulls were fantastic, both from some breeders from around the country and some commercial folks sitting right there in the seats in Oklahoma. So it was a good event. Also, the pen and carload show down there was super competitive, and just another successful event in the books down there.
And of course, we say lots of optimism. I feel like we've said that a lot in the past year or so, Mark. Lots of optimism in the breed. But when we head into this podcast that we were talking about, we had a cattle feeder on as well in Luke Lind, and there's been a lot of optimism in him having to buy and procure feeder cattle, too. That price is good, so... We
were teasing him a little bit of how optimistic is he when the price they're paying on some of these feeder cattle. But, no, there's a lot of just incredibly strong tailwinds in this market. And, and then there's kind of some things that I think as beef producers we get excited about when we see the new food pyramid and some of the things going on in our nutritional requirements or recommendations. And we know those things influence the products going into our schools and some of our institutions and such, and so just some good news there. We know what our numbers are. We know we're tight on numbers, and demand continues to be strong. We come out of the Christmas holidays, and we tend to kind of do a little bit of a switch over from prime rib roast to more of the roasting items and some ground beef. So we see that complex change a little bit, but demand's incredibly strong, and again, lots of optimism. A bit of a broken record.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll keep that broken record as long as we can have it. So this is the second event that we will see producers at, and then it kind of transitions right to, hopefully we'll see some of you at the Cattle Industry Convention and Trade Show. And then right following that, we'll have our February board meeting, so the business of the association continues throughout all of this.
Yeah, and we encourage members. Of course, as always, we post those agenda highlights the week before that board meeting. But I always encourage members to reach out to their board members. We have a series of committee meetings online and virtually, I should say, and then in person as well, and then in-person meetings in all the entities. And so I encourage members to look for those agenda highlights of some of those big topics that are being discussed, but also just purely pick up the phone and reach out to a board member if you want to kind of talk to them, or some things maybe of concern that you'd like to share that you want them to communicate on into the boardroom for you.
Absolutely. So we've covered a lot in this intro to Season 8, the kickoff of Season 8 of the Angus Conversation, but I think you'll really enjoy this podcast as we kind of talk about some history and some unique things about National Western Stock Show all the way up to present day.
And some new traditions getting started.
Today on the podcast, we've got two guests live here at National Western Stock Show. Brent Vieselmeyer of Vision Angus at Amherst, Colorado. And Brent, you've been a longtime National Western Stock Show exhibitor and involved in quite a bit of the planning.
You've done every aspect of the National Western Stock Show, is that right?
I believe so, other than maybe concessions or something like that, it seems like. But yeah, no, we, catch a calf, FFA heifer wrangle. We showed, when I showed as a 4-H FFA member, and then judged college, junior, senior college, coached like Mark did, and then had sons involved where we showed pigs and cattle, and now we show open, and yeah, I'm not sure what's left. So
sure, we'll get into some more of that involvement, but give us just a little background on your Vision Angus, what you got going on there, kids back in the operation. That
okay,
kind of
yep, we're in the very northeast corner of Colorado. We have our bull sale in North Platte, Nebraska, and our customer base is mostly in Nebraska. We couple hundred cows, and everybody asks, where's Tina? And she is not here. She will not come because her cows are calving, and so she is home, and they're in great hands. But both boys are home part-time. Austin married Sarah. We have a beef store now in Holyoke, a couple hundred cows. We farm a fair amount there in farm country, and yeah, we're riding a great wave right now in the industry and with Angus.
Sure, very good.
Very cool.
And on kind of the other side of the beef spectrum, I guess we would say, we have Luke Lind with Five Rivers Cattle Feeding. And Luke, explain a little bit. First, tell us about what you do there, and then answer the question of why a cattle feeder would be involved in Stock Show.
You're a bit of a unicorn.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm also the night janitor at Five Rivers. I coordinate procurement for the 13 feed yards we have in Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, or not Nebraska, but Idaho and Arizona. And then I also, along with a trading desk, manage the risk in that inventory. As you can imagine, the inventory swings quite a bit in the last year.
It's a low
There's
stress
no risk
job.
in it right now.
Low stress.
Well, I'm actually 32. Those of you on the podcast, I look like I'm 80. So I've been with Five Rivers in some form or another for almost 35 years. Mark and I have known each other since
back when it was Conti beef.
Conti beef, and we're trying to put Angus cattle in Texas feed yards.
Yep. And so you're that's your day job.
Yeah.
You're also on the board of directors here.
So it's kind of funny. Much like Brent, my deal is that showed here, had a heifer wrangle project. Showed here with my family, exhibited pins, sale bulls, and specifically Maine Jews. So spent a lot of time down here. It's kind of a side hobby.
Mm-hmm.
My kids now are actively involved in show ring. I'm fairly passionate about National Western Stock Show. I was bitching loud enough about a lot of things that they said, all right, put your mouth where your time is. And so I'm on the National Western board now and working to, as I tell people, I want Denver to be like Denver was when I was a kid. And I think that's kind of my passion project.
Sure.
Maybe talk about some of you guys talked about Catch a Calf and some of those earliest memories. I mean, so what Denver was? What is Denver to you, Luke, when you think back and talk about Denver?
So I'll start with the new. So upstairs in the club, we've got that window that looks down onto the show ring. To me, that's when kids walk up there, they'll remember that forever. That'll be a memory from Denver. And it took 2 months of legal wrangling because the two buildings, National Western Stock Show owns the Legacy Building. The City of Denver Authority owns this building that we're sitting in, the Livestock Arena, Sue Ann Street's Livestock Arena. And it was an act of Congress to get that window in place. When the Denver City Council was here, I pointed to that window and told the lawyer I said, people will remember this. And so to me, that starts it. So to me, that's a memory for me. I remember coming to the yards with my dad and having breakfast in the yards when the heifer sale, or the market, feeder cattle sale was going on. And so that's my first memory of National Western. My next memory would have been wrestling a heifer down in the rodeo arena with the clown yelling at me saying, let her go, let her go. So, but that's, those would be those kind of big event kind of things at Denver that, you forget a lot of things, but you remember those things. Like I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you do. I mean, it's just.
The catwalk was always for me
The
something
catwalk
early
was-
on. That was such a,
So-
as an Illinois kid, walking the catwalk in the yards was just, that was just cool.
And
It was cool.
when I was, there weren't many fats here anymore because most of the fats were being traded. Like our place, we had an order buyer that was trading for cattle for us. But we bought a lot of feeder cattle out of here, a lot of feeder cattle. As my family, I guess I
Yeah.
shouldn't say Five Rivers, but
Yeah.
I was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'll start the other end with my father's 4-H club loaded steers on a train car, in Amherst, Colorado, and then those boys rode the train car to the stock show. And now I don't know how many years they did that, but that's the first story I hear. And we talk about the catwalk. We farm for a family that used to bring fed cattle to the stockyards here, and those two girls rode with her dad, and they talk about running along, literally running on the catwalk, and and that. So and I think that's so important. A lot of us that have been here all these years is we remember those things in the past, our family. I remember bringing the boys into places, and you'll get a kick out of this. But in the Exchange building now, where Colorado Cattlemen's has their office,
Yes.
I'm so glad we got to preserve that building and the history and things, and the board.
And the chalkboard.
The chalkboard.
Yeah,
Yep.
I love the
Okay,
chalkboard.
now the other part that's really cool is the urinals.
Yes.
They are huge.
They look like a
granite
1953
urinals.
Cadillac with big old wings on them.
And
The ladies
so-
are looking at
I'm
us right
feeling
now
like you're
going,
gonna
seriously?
have to
But seriously.
provide some photographic evidence or something.
And the
because-
You
yard
need to
bar.
just go see it.
I think
Yeah.
that's the other, and honestly, the yard bar, because
Yeah.
there was more wisdom extolled when I was a kid in the yard bar than any place else in National Western Stock Show.
I've got to say, we went to the yard bar yesterday, though, and I was
It's-
like, did they clean in here? It's like a lot brighter.
It's
It's
under,
different.
it's under
Yeah.
different management.
Right.
The two gentlemen that are developing that
Yeah.
building brought in a guy that's very successful, I'm not saying it's replacing it, but I think it's a different version.
Different approach.
I'm grateful that that it still stands and that
Yeah.
it's still there. And I
And
mean, no
respectful-
disrespect to that. I was
respectful-
just
no,
like,
no,
whoa.
respectful of the history.
Yes.
Because I can remember as a kid having to stand out in the hall and wait for my uncle to get
done at the yard
he's laughing. He knows that's a God's strongest.
Yeah,
We're not going to tell yards bar stories here.
Well, we'll start.
will need
and-
to
But we're
edit
going to
this
start with
thing.
urinals, so I mean, it can only go up from
We
there.
need to end with this yard bar story, but that was really Tina's and my first date was here at the yard bar. So
Oh, is
yeah,
that right?
Yeah, her sister set us up here at the stock show, and here we are.
My best yard bar story was I was working.
One
for
you can tell on the
Yes, I
public
can tell on the
podcast.
mic.
Okay,
yes.
yes, thank
So I was working for Continental Grain cattle feeding at that time, which is about the third iteration of this, and we had a lawyer that was one of the corporate counsels. He was University of Notre Dame grad, had never been to a cattle show, and I took him to the yard bar one night.
He hadn't been the same
No,
since.
he was. It changed his perspective of the world.
So life-changing, I'm hearing.
Yes.
Weddings and
Yes.
new perspective.
Well, last year they were letting us buy some signs and things from the yards bar, so
Yeah.
I was able to buy some things that are now up on my walls at home. So, yeah, not the same, but
Yeah.
neat memories. Neat
Very good.
memories.
So you talked a lot about like easy, quick memories, but talk about maybe doing business down. I mean, you mentioned you guys bought a lot of cattle, but like,
The impact
Right.
of
So-
the stock show.
So the thing is to me, the heart and soul of National Western is the yards. You can talk about the hill and all the cool things that have happened on the hill, but the reality is that, and that's kind of what I think is the unique thing about Denver is the pins and the carloads and the interaction between registered guys, commercial guys, and you do find unicorns like me wandering around down there. I've seen a couple of them here this year already. That it's the place where it's kind of that you look at like the Missouri River or Mississippi River going into the Gulf. That's kind of like that, and it's really an interesting spot because it's not all seed stock guys, it's not all commercial guys. It's that interaction, and I think that's and it all bleeds back to like the yard bar and just a social, I mean, an exchange of ideas. It's not a formal exchange, but it's a informal, and I think that to me is Denver. That's the heart and soul of Denver, is down here. And and we've tried hard to maintain that. It's, I mean, it's just, to me, it's really, really important.
And I think, I mean, it's sad that we lost a lot from the COVID and the transition and everything, but I think a lot of what Luke and even some of the things we're doing that I'm a part of, we want to bring that back.
Yeah.
And so yesterday, Wednesday, we had the maternal merit commercial heifer sale, and then Colorado Angus, we had that program before, and lo and behold, I had two, it's just two, but it was yesterday, and our pen, we had two couples that are commercial cattlemen, one from Nebraska and one from Colorado, that came to the stock show just to come. And that's what I think we're all trying to get back to, is to cultivate that more. So.
I was just bragging on that program that you guys had, the commercial cattlemen's program ahead of that sale, and just lots of good information, good practical information.
Oh, it's incredible. It's the best educational event other than Angus Convention going. So but no, Bobby Strecker with ABS and I have really worked on that. I think the impetus behind that is we had a time slot, and we wanted to help. We wanted to build. We wanted to bring people back. We wanted to create things. And Colorado Angus, we jumped we just kind of started going, and I think we're going to have a hard time topping what we did this year. So I'll need your all's help or other ideas. But yeah, it's part of something that we're trying to do to just continue and grow, and whatever those other words are, let's build, and let's go.
Well, and give that commercial producer one more reason.
Yes.
Right? One more reason to come and visit and get around and talk to people and see some genetics.
And that's part of the reason what legacy. I don't know if you've been in Legacy yet, but we've got a museum there, the National Western Stock Show, memorabilia. We've got the Coors Art, and we're trying to make that more to where people, that's part of the destination here. And meeting facilities plus the club, that was Mr. Coors' vision. A Legacy was trying to get people back, and I think that building, as we progress and people figure out ways to use that facility, because it is amazing.
Beautiful.
I mean,
I just got to walk through it briefly.
It's just absolutely.
I remember seeing the renderings, and I was thinking, that's gorgeous, but they can't really build something that pretty. And it is that
and
nice.
And the eye for detail. I'm not on that kind of stuff, the way they built it and the things. In the boardroom, there's a Charolais hide that's dyed different colors for, it's a view of cattle grazing. It's just the attention to detail and things and just through that building, like the history building area, it's just all those things. If you don't have to be a seed stock guy or something, you could be a commercial guy and come and just spend an afternoon down there and go through the art and everything. It's just really cool.
Yeah, or even the beef festival.
Yeah,
I drug our kids to it. I said, hey, we're going to go make contacts and for our store and everything. And Austin kind of was like, whatever. But we got in there and meeting people, and Justin Cummings is a former neighbor and on the board, and it's just a great thing. And so that's a very urban crowd, and it's great. I think.
Yes.
I think it's great
To be that connector to
right
from production agriculture to our consumer.
Yeah. We're going to pause for a quick moment to hear from today's podcast sponsor.
As you plan your spring production sale, Superior Purebred Auctions has cut broadcast rates in half with a new $3,000 flat rate fee, making it easier than ever to showcase your genetics nationwide. Backed by Superior Livestock Auction, your sale reaches the largest commercial cattle buyer and seller base in the country. Producers ask for affordability. Superior listen. Book today at 1-800-422-2117 or visit superiorlivestock.com to find a Superior Purebred representative for your auction. Additional fees may apply.
Talk about the stock show just from a commerce standpoint. I think about the trade that happens and I know it's a little different today. It used to be, probably breeders came with their pen and carloads with the goal of not taking any of them home. today a lot it's more of a promotion for their sale, so they maybe take those bulls home. It's a section, some of their bulls that are going to sell, but maybe just talk about how you guys see commerce today and maybe changing, and the importance of the stock show for facilitating that.
Well, the perspective, we never, years ago when a lot of cattle were sold privately, we weren't involved in that when I was a youth. I look at it as a networking situation now, and being a part of the foundation sale, and we bring some custom cattle that are in that sale, and then just the sale managers, the other breeders. I think that's how we look at it. When Tina and I visit about it ahead of time, that's our primary goal.
More exposure.
Yes, that too. Yeah. And getting our cattle out
Sure.
We're a little different. We look at it, as on the board, probably, this is an incredible facility. But what I'm the most excited about is up on the old hill, and where the cattle used to stall, we have the world's largest petting zoo. We're really focusing on trying to connect with the consumer in here. Obviously we have the trade show still above in the old space there, but
May have done some shopping today.
Maybe, yeah. But downstairs, really trying to get families to come, because biggest challenge we have here in Denver is people don't know where their food comes from. And I think it's absolutely essential that, we're working with CSU and the Colorado Beef Board and those kinds of people to really, and then also, we've got these buildings down here, to really try to get a connection with this urban community. And I think that to me is just, that's, these are all really cool things. That's something that's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Especially in Colorado.
Incredibly unique,
because,
yeah.
When people really understand where their food comes from, it's a different conversation than, Whole Foods says,
Yeah.
I could almost argue that should be our number one mission.
It is
that, and let the networking and the breed associate and all that, and I think that the COVID and then the negativity and some of that, it just was so degrading, and people, what I get so frustrated, people want to just be negative and they don't want to do anything, and they don't go to Denver. That message was out there. Yeah. Don't take your money, don't go there. No, we have to. We need to. We need to engage. We need to come back and.
It's funny because Mark knows my speech that I gave that one year to a big group was, you're either with us or against us.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we need your help.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if you're in Oklahoma or Texas. What's happening here in Colorado will happen in Oklahoma, and will happen in Texas, and we all got to work together, because if they pick us off one at a time, we got a real problem.
Yep.
And so,
in realistic here, you're probably a more vulnerable state here,
Yeah,
right?
very
in
much
terms
so.
of setting some precedent and things like that, right?
Well, what's funny though
It's
is
already
that
happened.
we see it in,
Yep.
we see it in Texas, we see it in Oklahoma, we see it, the same states that everybody talks about, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
That creep happens.
Never say never. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe talk about just maybe the facilities that are here. We keep referencing the facilities.
You gotta give us a visual.
And it's going to be hard to do in a podcast here. And I'm sure if folks are on social media, they're seeing. I know my feed is full of lots of pictures and the carpeted ring out there and the beautiful facility. Talk a little bit about, for you guys, the facility and how the vision came together.
So, this was a long, painful process. It started almost 15 years ago. There was talk about moving stock show out towards the airport.
To the airport, yeah.
The mayor at that time, Mayor Hancock, said over my dead body. And so there were a lot of working task force and that type of thing. Obviously, this community had to be involved in it because, it impacts them. And you had people like Doug Jones, Pete Coors, Bruce Wagner, Mark Gustafson on the executive committee that put a lot of days and a lot of nights in here, and Paul Andrews, who was the CEO at that time, to get this thing built. It's kind of got Johnny Cash because it's one piece at a time. We got the stockyards, and now we've got the livestock, and we're working on we're getting an equine facility, and we're not really sure when the Coliseum will be built, but the city came and allowed us. this facility is incredible. I mean, the size and the amount of power. So the electrical engineer told me that this building has more power in it than Invesco Field. It's the largest building the city of Denver owns. And so I think the coolest thing about this is that
Which was built because the exhibitor said power, water,
yes,
yes,
The basics,
and washer racks
yeah.
and so like Legacy was built with donations, 2,000 people, over $130 million. I mean, that's people. The city of Denver. You know, when you say the bad things about Denver, the reality is that this city has stepped up. You look at the donors. A lot of the big names are Coloradoans that have proximity to Denver. You look at the junior sale and I'll give this. Here's the other thing is that with the money that the Scholarship Foundation has raised from the sale, from the Coors Art exhibit, from the citizens of the West, we now have the drive. And the drive, I don't know if you guys, the drive is a Supreme Heifer show. So we're going to have at the rodeo last Saturday at 8:30, we'll select a Supreme Heifer. And right now that we're going to have about 35,000. Every breed champion gets $1,000 to come back. And then we'll have prorate some money. I think it's $15,000 for champion, and it works back down to the top 5. I have a modest goal of bringing that to about $100,000 in premium money for the Supreme Heifer, because as I've told our board, you know, we're really supporting the junior market youth, but we're not doing much for the kids, the youth that are exhibiting breeding heifers. Yeah. And so how do we, you know?
Yep.
So that's where we're headed.
Yep. Yeah.
That's cool.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
What do you think of the facilities?
Well, it's incredible. And so today is windy, and I just said, I helped Austin bring some stuff over for some junior heifers that he had sold, and I said, I'm just going to go walk. Now, I didn't go over to Legacy yet, but I just went in the arena and just sat there and soaked it up, you know, and then walked around a little bit, and we got to tour it last year in construction, so, but it's just amazing, and you know, and I think looking forward, you know, we embrace the history, but yet looking forward, we have such a neat thing here. And one thing, and I don't remember the numbers, but like we go back to the exhibitor request, the ventilation system, how we
Turns
all
over once every hour.
Yeah, the stock show crud is done.
No more Denver crud.
Yeah, or whatever.
Nobody's going home sick.
Knock on wood, knock on wood. I didn't want to hit
So-
that. She's over there going, oh my God, my ears.
Yeah, that's right.
No, and you know, so whatever. It's just,
Yeah.
it's so amazing. You know, our yards pen and the herd sire and in the sale ring over to here, it's all so close. Everybody's handy and convenient, and you can network, you can find people, you can talk. And enjoy it. Just absolutely enjoy it.
We spent 10 years, and the board was constructed, National Western Board was constructed to build this facility. The board has kind of evolved, and leadership has especially evolved. Wes Ellison is the new CEO. Wes comes from Heart of Texas in Waco. I mean, he came from Central Casting. I mean, he's as competent in livestock as he is in horses. You know, I think you look at the carpet. You know, it's the same carpet as San Antonio. The same people put it in. It's managed that way. The alley carpet is from Houston.
I was going to say, I think we need to clarify that that's carpet out there in the stalls,
Just
for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about,
no.
it's not the
And
carpet
and so and the reason why we settled on the turf, I guess better word is because we hold Citizen of the West, which is a very significant fundraising for the Scholarship Foundation here at National Western, one night in there. There's also numerous other events that are going on too that are focused on fundraising for educational things. And so there was a lot of discussion about dirt versus the turf, and the turf won because, you know, in addition to showing the livestock, and we talked to a lot of people that have shown it to San Antonio, and everybody was very good with it and felt comfortable with the carpet and the turf and the padding and everything else. And
you got this like street sweeper vacuum cleaner thing.
We've been calling it a Zamboni, but I suppose that's
well,
not.
it's a carpet Zamboni.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see Angus cattle in there tomorrow. Yeah,
I am too.
Yeah, whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Well, you went real quick because you said we could talk, and it reminded me the first year of the new yards. It was like one of the first days we were standing around talking, going, "There's no generators."
Yes.
That was just kind of the old yard. You just got used to all of the generators running. It was so quiet and peaceful.
Stepping over
Yeah.
things.
And the cans blowing up from the.
Oh yeah.
Hitting the hot water and
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Warm water on the wash racks outside, and it's just it's amazing.
And you ordered up the best weather this week too. I don't know what.
It's at the expense of the snowpack in the mountains.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll let you get after that snow thing.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
we
you can
leave,
do that
because you
when
need
we
to get
leave.
after that snow
we're
thing.
really
Yeah.
gonna have to get after
Yeah.
it. There's some
Yeah.
of these. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. I think the thing I would say is that kind of a little bit back on the building and that is that when the city passed the bond for this, we thought we could build X. But as you know, as COVID went through,
Everything.
All the prices went.
yeah. So all of a sudden, things that you thought were 10
Yeah.
are 7 now.
Yeah.
And so we've got, as far as stock shows goes, we're going to be this year in particular, tomorrow and today, we're full. The barn is full. And we had to move the lambs up to the hill to make sure we had enough room for the cattle here. So that's things that as the board, it's a really good problem to have, but it's something that we're going to have to talk about too.
For folks who haven't been here in the last, 10 years, describe a little bit the lay of the land as we're talking about things. So, I mean, the yards came first, and if you haven't been here since that, start from the beginning.
Yeah.
What have you first building? You said one piece at a time.
So the first thing was the yards.
Yep.
And
that's built right where I wasn't here before
So
that.
it's built kind of back behind where the yards were.
Yeah,
Sure.
to the north.
To the north.
Like
a little bit.
beyond where the Pepsi arena was.
Yes, the Pepsi arena is kind of what I would say would be the mark of
The
where
landmark.
yeah.
Okay.
Today. Yep.
And of course the water tower.
Yeah.
Of course, the water tower was though at the end of the yards,
Yep.
so that gives you kind of a spot.
Right.
And then where the Sioux Anschutz livestock facility is it's kind of the yards, between the yards and then where the old livestock exchange is. And then Legacy is directly adjacent to the livestock center.
Yep.
And we're down, basically everything down here is where the old yards used to be, plus, we went to the north and bought some ground there and added. We're going to, the equine facility will be directly north of here where that parking lot is. We're gonna have a parking garage there next year when you guys come. And then with the equine facility, we'll have a 1,200 vehicle parking garage there with the capacity to handle dually pickups.
I was just going to note that. That's
Yeah.
important right there.
And the funny part about it is that our CEO, Wes, is very much on that. He understands that is, especially with the equine facility as well.
Yeah.
It's a big, big thing.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what used to be the hill, so do you
still
think
is-
it's
yeah.
still up there?
Still up
right?
there,
And
yep.
as you said, the lambs are
So
up there now,
lambs are
the
up
trade
there.
show's up there
And the
now.
world's largest petting zoo,
Yep.
and we're trying to really make that a very interactive, when, not now, obviously, with this weather, but when the weather's really bad, families can say, hey, let's go to Denver, to the, and just buy a day
Just be
pass, come in there
inside and kind of do all that. Yeah,
interact.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I've not been up there to see it, but I can imagine it allows for probably a little better, what we have is a lot of folks come to see, they just want to see,
Yeah,
they just want to see some cattle.
They want to experience it.
And going maybe down through the aisles on show morning when there's shoots and people are fitting and grooming, that's probably, it's probably not the safest, and it's maybe, it's just not the perfect, that is a better way to
That is an
display,
awesome
right?
place
And in a very
yes.
comfortable way and a very safe way for everybody, probably.
And the people up there are very focused on education,
what they're-
whereas
yeah.
they're not focused on their
Trying
cattle.
to show
and-
a heifer,
or-
no, I don't want
yeah,
to do you to pet her,
yeah.
yeah.
And so we don't really, there are not any signs that say this way to the livestock show.
Yeah.
If you walk up there, it's done to say, let's figure things out.
Yeah.
This is the first year, and to be honest with you, the opening couple of days, I kind of laid awake at night wondering what's going to blow up. And so far, nothing, but we've had a few things, here or there, but I really expected I was going to get yelled at a couple of times, which does, as Mark knows.
It's part
You
of the
can yell
job.
back.
Yeah,
It's part of the job.
But, the response has been very good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, it has. It's everybody's.
Awesome.
And I think the other thing that if you come to Denver today versus Denver 5 years ago, the volunteers, the staff, we're really working hard. When I was a kid, Denver was kind of, it's Denver, and if you don't like it, go home. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of options people have to spend their money today, and I think we are becoming more and more every year customer friendly, and I think that is absolutely something that, in the history of Denver, I wouldn't say, as an exhibitor, I would say there were challenges.
Yeah.
Brent's shaking his head over here.
And the reality is that I think that as we go forward, we're going to be better at that.
Yeah. Good deal. Maybe talk a little bit about the commercial heifer sale and then the upcoming.
We were going to ask the same question, though.
Oh, see, we're locked in. I don't even know if we're following an outline
We're not
anymore,
at all. But what I was going to say is, you can say that Denver's back, and we're, but really, when you put it's the numbers that tell the story. So you got to share how the commercial heifer sale went yesterday.
Oh, and I can't remember the average, but it's online. But yeah, I had a lot of people ask me, did we set new records, and that I'm aware of.
It felt like it.
Because there were some heifers that sold at Torrington, bred heifers, this fall that were 50 something or other.
52, 53.
Yeah.
I think there was a set of story.
Yeah.
I call story cattle.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this averaged 57.
7 was the
Yeah.
number I
Yeah.
thought I remembered
Yeah.
seeing.
I'm just going
700.
to Angus Media sale reports right now to look
on
it
the-
up. So
Yeah, on the commercial heifers, and then there were some open heifers that averaged about 4,000.
Yeah.
Largest crowd we've had, and I think that's the 4th year that ABS has had that sale. We had the largest crowd for the educational event that we've had in person, and so, yeah, the momentum is just going along. Go back to the facility thing, to be more customer friendly, so to speak, is that we bring less stuff, and there's less, no generators and no hot water heaters, and it's simpler. So when we bring a pen of cattle, I think it's actually simpler and nicer than it used to be. So you don't have to.
And as you're weighing the option, do we display cattle there or not? That's got to
Oh yes,
swing in your favor.
yeah, it does, and it's a great thing that Bobby and ABS and so Don McLennan and Anton Hermes are part of that, and it's a neat deal, and I can't see it, but just now go back to the space thing. There may not be a lot of space for other cattle in the future, and that's a little bit of the discussion. In talking with Jen and Jana, there may be some scheduling changes next year, and we may end up more in that 2 weeks time with some breeds. Hopefully they leave Angus alone, and so we
Quit
can
looking at me like that.
And so there's going to be and that's part of growing pains.
Yeah.
And so there will be some changes coming ahead, but that's
As a board member, it's a damn shame that it's only one weekend. I think we've got this facility. If we can kind of figure out a good way to do this, where it's supportive of the exhibitors, because and it used to be at Denver that last weekend during the prospect show. There was nothing here besides the prospects.
Yep.
And I think it's to give people enough time to display their cattle, to give people enough, you're spending a lot of money coming here. We need to give you the full opportunity to make the cattle how you want them to be, rather than saying, well, here's 3 days,
Yep.
and
Good luck getting
by the
filled
way,
up.
Yeah,
and all
good.
that.
And by the way, as soon as you're done showing, you need to be out of here because the next string's coming
Yep.
through. And so we are in April going to sit down with all of the breeds and a lot of the exhibitors and say, how do we do this? And I want to be really clear in this, is that with Cattlemen's Congress, we believe it serves a very important purpose. We recognize as a board that they filled a gap that was desperately needed, and we appreciate that. And we wish them the best, because it's a lot of the different cattle that are there than come here.
Yep.
And if someone wants to show up both, we want to help that.
Yep.
And so, but we don't want to do it at the detriment of someone, or at any of the show, or even Fort Worth, backing into Fort Worth. And so it's really important to us that we get this right.
And with that, we're going to take a quick time out for this word from Angus Media.
You have confidently bred, raised, and selected your cattle to sell. Our team at Angus Media wants you to have that same confidence when it comes to using social media to promote your sale day and advertise your cattle. We're sending out a free social media planning guide full of our best marketing tips and tricks. Subscribe to our email list at www.angus.to/social guide or see the link in the show notes to start posting with confidence.
Well, I was just going to reference some numbers. I don't know how many pens we actually checked in, but just off entries to give some idea, we went from 43 pen entries last year to 57 pen entries this year.
And the show on the, I mean, how many cattle in the?
Well, we ended up with, we went from 283 entered to 410 entered. Now, that, you know, we know we have a pretty heavy attrition on always on all our shows, so we won't check that many in. But
up until yesterday, we were using 26% attrition.
Okay.
We threw that out. It's 17 to 20 is somewhere is what the attrition is right now.
Okay.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's cool too.
Well, and some of that's for non-show people listening
The
to this
weather
going,
has
what
to
are we
help.
talking
Yeah.
about? But there's also, I think, folks enter more than they need
Yes.
intentionally. One, they're not sure quite what they're going to bring.
Yes.
You know, things happen, ringworm, whatever, and then they also want to make sure they get enough space, right?
Yep.
So that tends to be the big reason that folks over-enter, just to ensure that they get enough space, right? So we'll just have to figure out, you know, not a unique problem to hear.
It's a good problem.
But when
It's
we're
a good-
limited on space,
Yeah.
it is going to be, you know, it's going to be a puzzle we're going to have to continue to work on.
And that's the biggest thing is that we'll figure it out.
Yep.
And we'll go on.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, and Jane had told me that too, and you said it, Luke, is that it's not like it's just gonna come from the board. It's gonna be a group with all the breed associations and exhibitors or whatever. You guys are, I mean,
We're, I mean, Angus has been part of a lot of the discussions, and I mean, we value all of the breeds. I mean, I think the biggest challenge I've had is that I'm kind of a feedlot guy, and so some of the smaller breeds that I don't know much about, I kind of look at and go, well, they're important too, and we've got to make sure that they get their fair shake too as well. And so that's been, I think that's important that everybody, when everybody comes to Denver, they feel like they were given the best opportunity.
You say you're kind of a feedlot guy?
Kind of a feedlot guy. Well, there's days where I'm kind of both. You know, the kids run cows, and so I've calved a lot of cows this fall, and so
Good. Brent, maybe talk a little about the sale coming up, the Foundation Angus sale. You got live lots, you got frozen genetics, you got lots of exciting things going on.
Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going
Miranda.
to say, and of course, the sale will have been over with by the time this podcast
True,
goes out
true.
next week.
Yeah,
So
yeah, but it's fun, and so let's go back to COVID when we didn't have stock show, so let's back up. The foundation, it used to be the Foundation female sale, and then so now it's the Foundation Angus sale, and Dwayne Uris came up with the name change because we will let bulls in and that, but we were basically to ground zero, where sale manager had no stock show. And so Levi Landers was really the one that helped me the most, and I'm like, Levi, what do we do here? Who do we talk to? And I had not met Dave Mullins or Matt McFarland at that point, and so he basically set me up with those two goobers, and they.
We won't edit that.
And,
it's a term of endearment, really.
And it has just become. I mean, I've seen their friendship blossom. I've seen relationships blossom. One of them's ours. I mean, and I was poking them. I sent them a text. I said, "Hey, Ryan Cotton's here scoping stuff out," you know, and they thought that was funny. And Ryan's here for other reasons too. But it's just really grown. And those two are so excited for this sale because of the offering. And I think a lot of what they like is that it's the same kind of breeders and it's the same kind of cattle. And I'm not going to label it one way or the other, but they really like the homogeneous appeal of that. So yeah, it's growing every year. More frozen things. They have the frozen sale off ground Saturday night. That's just online. But the sale.
Some picks.
Yes,
right?
picks of bulls, picks of heifers, live lots, flushes, picks of the whole herd. Just amazing. And the other part too is if you go back to the Conover days, or before, we were always on that Friday, and it was popular. I mean, big crowds, and
it was long.
Yes, and we're not going to do that. We've already talked about that.
Going to the wee hours of the night.
Yeah, but for the last few years we were on Thursday, and so we're really excited to be on Friday because people were just kind of getting here on Thursday, and so even today, big crowds, a lot of traction or traffic, and so I think having this sale tomorrow is going to be even better.
Yeah. So consigners. So how many? I was actually pulling up the catalog, thinking I could count consigners
You
quickly.
can't count that fast.
Yeah, and I don't have the numbers. I think everybody, but it's growing.
But not just Colorado breeders.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
I guess that was maybe my point to highlight.
And those guys are not opposed. I mean, it was either Dave or Matt told me this, that, hey, we've got some new people in, and we're excited, about having them. And once you get into a consignment sale, you got to kind of find your way and,
Pay your dues a little.
Yep, that.
Yep.
But they were like, we're not going to tell anybody no, because we want to involve everybody. And it's just, I mean, the attitude that they have in terms of we're going to do our best, and we're going to present what we think is a really good product that is really common theme through that catalog and the type of cattle, the breeders. They're excited about that.
Yeah.
I think it's just another illustration of how good this event is for promotion of the Angus breed in general, too.
Oh, yeah. It's just, those guys are, I don't know what else to say, but they are excited, and I would say most of the consigners are excited. And the other thing, too, some of these guys that have picks, they're coming, and they don't have cattle here, but they're going to be here, and I saw quite a few of them today, and that's a great thing.
Absolutely. You mentioned there's kind of it's a like-minded group of breeders and consigners.
Yes.
So would you describe probably heavy on an appreciation for phenotype, for sure?
Yes.
As I would probably describe the offering.
Yeah.
Not ignoring numbers by any means, but definitely maybe would you agree with that?
Well, you brought it up, so I'll
Yep.
say a little
He
bit
wasn't
more.
going to go
This
there.
is the Angus. I know you weren't. That's why I wanted to go there.
Well, I'm going to call it a little more maternal,
Yeah.
but I'm going to call it real world.
Yep.
And I really have a lot of confidence that I could call any of those breeders in that book, and where Tina or our family is on how we pick genetics, how we mate genetics. Any of these people I could call and get advice. I could call and get input. I could call and learn. I feel really good about that, and I'm not degrading to other sales or other things, but
Well, I think
that's
that's
just
the beauty of the
feel.
Angus breed right now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the role I sit in, but
Jumping in just as a consumer
yeah.
is that the biggest thing, I think, one of the biggest things that the industry is going to start looking at is soundness, foot size. I mean, we're making these cattle 1,700 pounds, and you can't put 1,700 pounds on little feet.
Yep.
I mean, you just can't.
Right.
And sound. You got to make them sound, because the amount of time that we're putting into them and the amount of dollars in them, I mean, I applaud you for that, because I think it's really, really, really important.
Yeah, and that's one topic, but we, at the educational program that we had the other day, I encourage people, so go to Colorado Angus Association Facebook page, and that whole program's on there live. And it's got some length to it, but the best part is the end of that panel. And so we had you guys help me here, we had Troy Marshall, we had Rick Machado, and
Ryan Rathburn.
Ryan presented, but he wasn't on the
true.
panel. Jason Hoffman, and then Magnum Feeders.
Case Gable or Steve Gable?
Steve
was on
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing group of minds. Ryan presented, or Dr. Rathman, and Troy presented. We had a Zen Pro presentation as well. It's great, and so we're going to try to work with American Angus more in the future to get that out and have that for other things. And so
Because they talked about some of that.
yes, we're talking about those
Yeah.
things that are important to.
Well, especially as you start looking at these yards, some of these yards here in the U.S. going to rolled concrete,
Yep.
Yeah.
it makes a really big difference.
Yep.
Really big difference.
Yep. So you guys both went there, so we're going to go there a little more. You talked about the importance of keeping your Angus cows maternal and that focus on maternal. Luke, you said you need them to go to 1,700 pounds. How do we do that?
Easy. Because honestly, it's a funny thing. I am a big hybrid vigor guy. I want to say that up front.
Yeah.
Hybrid vigor is important to me because in a feedlot, it cures a lot of ills.
Yeah.
But that said, you can take a commercial set of cows and breed a set of cows Angus and find, because of the size of the Angus database and the genetics of the Angus base, you can have a set of Angus cows that are very maternal, and you can have bulls with as much growth, as much muscle, as much frame in the Angus breed as anything you want to go find. And so if you want to stay in Angus, you can do both.
And the other side of that is that once they leave the ranch, you guys have a lot of tools and opportunity to grow those cattle differently, use different things, and so you can manage those depending on their frame and their type and their body condition.
The same cattle that maybe not the same, but cattle that I would say would be similar in the past, what we would think 1,400 pounds was really big. They're the 1,700 pound cattle now. I mean,
and you're not seeing their intakes drop off a cliff like we used to in those cattle.
Oh, it does. But here's the thing is
Yeah.
that when you have corn at sub $4,
Yeah.
cost of gains at $1 or less, and you're selling it for $2.30 some cents today a pound.
And you've invested what you have in the calves.
And
you're
that's
buying
the other
those
part.
really high feeder cattle, your
and the point
break-evens
is
are-
that
yeah.
I don't begrudge the cow-calf guy because they've got to have that.
Yep.
But the only way you can cover fixed cost is you've got to make those cattle a lot bigger.
Yep.
And so that's just the economics of the business now. And, we don't produce, I mean, you look at the pounds we produce today, we produce more choice product than we ever have last year.
Or prime
At
and
the highest
select.
price, prime.
Yep.
Right now, choice select spread's par, but it's more because we don't have enough grind. It's not because there's demand for select, it's because the ends are driving it.
Yep. Yep.
Or that's not even the gold standard anymore, right? Like we've moved that.
Well, what's so crazy is that where the growth is in the beef market is bifurcated just like anything else. You have the fast and cheap, and you have the high end. And the high end, the demand is almost, you just can't satiate it. And whereas on the bottom end, that middle ground,
Yep.
people are either moving to one way or the other. They're not staying in the middle.
Sure.
Yeah. So when you hear that, as you think about your operation, but as your commercial cow-calf customers that you're selling bulls to, what's your philosophy with helping them produce a calf that
People like Luke are going to
that
buy.
Luke wants to buy the steer calf and the heifer calf
And
is
they
going to
can
work
keep
for
it.
them?
I think it's our biggest challenge.
Yeah.
I do right now because in something that worries me, and I don't want to get too futuristic, Luke, is water. And
agreed.
especially how 10 years, 15 years from now, what are the challenges that will arise that will change the dynamics that we're in now? I don't know. But I do. I think that's the hardest because you have so many shiny objects around you and so many different ways that are pulling. And I don't have the answer for it, Mark, because that's why I'm here and talking with people and learning is, to do that. But I think the biggest thing, a takeaway from Wednesday and a big focus on our deal is relationships and information. And I encouraged our customers in our Christmas letter, I'm like, okay, guys, you need to follow up, and whether you want to or not, and whether that feedlot wants to share it with you or not, let's try to get over that, those roadblocks. And so develop those relationships. If you need us to help, learn things, then we go from there. And then we find out and see. Sure, the theme is, some of the closeout data I've gotten on cattle is, we wish they could have been bigger, but then you look at the cow side and you balance everything from that perspective, then you make those decisions relative to that. So sure, the feed yard would want A and the cow, deal might need D, but there's things we can do in the middle.
Yeah.
And honestly, to me, the most important thing is health.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
It trumps all.
Trumps all. And you look at what you have to realize out of a feedlot today at what you paid, that becomes a really big leak. And so, health to me, somebody can have a conversation with me about EPDs, and it's interesting, but I'm more interested in the health of the cattle than anything, because I think those are that sets the stage for everything else you do in a feedlot.
Yeah.
And goes back to that, you got to keep them alive to recoup that investment.
Well,
Regardless of their genetic merit,
So,
Right,
set them
right.
back.
so
on a
when I
health
was at
standpoint.
Cattlefax, I started at Cattlefax, and I wrote an article about what breeds would survive. And I don't know if you remember that one. And then with Baxter Black,
We could dig
Baxter.
that
Yeah, right. I
Yeah,
bet they,
and
see how
the
right you were.
The
And so-
internet's forever. We can
Well,
go
yeah,
find something.
I'm sure. But what I basically said is that the cow needed to fit the environment, and you could put a bull on to make it work, and to get so tied up in a breed because, at the time, you think about it, and that was a long time ago. That would have been in the 80s, middle 80s. And that was before, really, Angus bulls were in Florida. 1407 was really the first Angus bull that made an impact in Florida, in my mind.
Yeah.
Was that fair, Mark?
Yeah.
I mean, he was
I
slick-haired.
remember leaving your office, and you and Mike Thorne were talking about 1407, and I remember Larry Core and we walked to the car and go, these guys are paying attention to, they know bulls' names, right? I mean, you guys, and I knew you guys come from a seed stock background, but you were thinking about genetics, and that was probably, I remember that. That was just an impressionable time.
Well,
And
and
1407 was the bull.
And the thing was that you were able to take that bull and put him in Florida because he really wasn't a very hairy bull. He wasn't the best looking bull, but he had ribeye and he had growth. And what was funny is we put a lot of those cattle on a natural program. Well, as things happen at a feedlot, we had to extend the natural program or feeding program for them for about 30 days. And we thought, oh my God, this is going to be a disaster. And those cattle held up really well because they had enough muscle. And that's really what was the impetus of us talking to you and saying, how do we get more of these cattle in the Texas Panhandle?
Yep.
And now,
And now they're there.
well, what's interesting, and we've had this conversation too, is that 15 years, 20 years ago, we spent a lot of time in Montana buying cattle for grade. Today, I can buy cattle that are similar grading in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. I can buy them.
Kirk Angus isn't going to want to hear that,
Yeah,
Mark.
yeah. Well, I think those cattle were as Angus as you could buy them, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's exactly right.
And when you were buying more southern cattle, you weren't buying as much Angus influence.
It was,
and I
well, they
think
looked
you've-
like Angus, they talked
Yeah.
like Angus, but they weren't Angus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that has definitely changed over time.
Well, and you look at our grading, I mean, there's weeks, and it's dairy influence, obviously, but in Kansas is outgrading Nebraska.
Well, it's a conversation. I'm sure we could spend a lot of time going down a lot of places. I think, and I've said it before. I mean, Luke, what you said, and Brent, as a breeder, you may not agree. I think the beauty of the Angus breed right now is this diversity we have and the data we have to identify that diversity. And I think if we embrace that a little bit more than maybe fight the sides, I think we can
that's-
probably fit this job description.
Mark, that's the power. I mean,
Yeah.
you think about it, in the dairy breed, I mean, in Holstein, there's 14 bulls that everything goes back to. And that's not good. That is not
Yeah.
good. I don't
Yeah.
care what anybody says, that is not good.
Yeah.
Because, you're starting to look at this genetic concentration getting down, and, they've standardized environment, which is okay, but you've got to have this diversity. And people that have different ideas on how the cattle should be. I mean, one of my favorite things when I was doing kind of the trade show deals is how many you think you raise the best cattle in the area, and every guy raises his hand. Well, you know what? Our job is to take all of that and to put it through processes, systems to reduce the variability, because that's really what a packer wants. He wants to reduce the variability. That's his big focus.
Good deal.
Well, this has been super interesting, and we've went from
Stock show to
stock show
feedlots, I know.
No, that's perfect. We could probably keep going for another hour, but you guys are probably needed elsewhere here, so I won't put you through another hour, but is there, Mark, anything we wanted to ask before I go to the random question of the week?
You always say that, and then you say, don't ask another question.
Right.
Yeah, so.
No, I'm saying that, but my eyes are saying, don't ask another question. That's right. Okay, so
we better go to our random question.
Yeah, random question of the week. You guys have talked about a lot of nostalgia and things that you remember fondly and things you're glad that they were able to keep. I want to know the things that you said good riddance to, that you said, boy, I'm glad it's not like XYZ.
COVID.
That's good.
I'm glad we're done with COVID.
Yeah.
As a board member at the National Western Stock Show, I am glad that's
we don't ever need to talk
about it again.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed you stayed on the board after that. That seems like
I got brought on afterwards.
Oh, you were? Okay, that was good.
I was a rock thrower
Yeah.
up until that point. That's what they
rock
call me,
thrower,
the rock
yeah.
thrower.
Yeah.
You're thinking hard over here.
That is not I knew I was going to get hit with this random question, but that is
You've
not
been
what I
stressing
expected.
about it, huh?
Well, yeah, and I try to be a positive guy and look forward, and Tina will
set you up
disagree.
to have
Yeah.
something
I'm
negative.
sorry.
No, it's
Paul
good.
Dykstra said when he listens to these, he gets nervous for the guests
Oh, dear.
as to what we're going to spring on them.
Well,
so
I would
I
say
bought you another 30 seconds.
as I adjust my knee brace and mess with my shoes, probably the walking up and down the hill is probably what I don't miss. Yeah.
That's as much as I don't know what to call this. I'll still call it the hill.
I've been wondering
So,
if
Yeah, we
here's
wanna know what
have you
This
branded
is
it?
important. This is
Okay.
important.
Okay.
It's the Sioux and Shoots Livestock Center. And the reason it's really important is because she stepped up and put a lot of money into this facility. And so I would appreciate it as a board member if it was
oh boy,
you
that's
know,
That's a
long
mouthful.
one.
It is.
Can you
Sue.
shorten it to the Sioux?
Can we call Sioux Center?
Yeah.
the livestock center, but it's
Yeah.
important.
No, no.
I mean,
Good call
I
out.
think
Yeah,
I
good
think
call
it's
out.
incredibly important that the people that donated significant amounts of money here that I mean, I'm going to say it that way, and I don't expect anybody,
Yeah.
but I think we need to
recognize
those
that.
people
No,
because
no.
this incredible facility would not be possible without those generous people, and so being courteous enough to include them in the name, I think, is really important.
Yeah. No. Good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yeah. That's,
But I will not also miss walking up the hill.
Up the hill.
Between
That's
the altitude and me being just out of shape, it was, I won't miss that.
It
I won't
sucks
miss
to get
that.
old, Mark.
Yeah, I know.
I will say, as I was carrying camera equipment and the gear, I wasn't too proud to ride on one of the golf carts up the hill yesterday. So you're not the only one. Very
deal.
good. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to visit with us today and share a little bit of your excitement, and hopefully listeners who have not made the trip out to National Western Stock Show will hear this and think they screwed up and they better come next year.
Yeah.
I would agree. Thank you.
We appreciate
Thank you
you
very
guys'
much.
leadership
Thanks for the time.
on many, many fronts here. So thank you.
That was sure a fun episode to listen to, and for more information and coverage on the National Western Stock Show, be sure to pick up our March edition of the Angus Journal. And to learn more about that Commercial Cattlemen's Day that we talked about during this podcast, be sure to follow our sister publication, the Angus Beef Bulletin, and tune in to the Angus at Work podcast, where we'll have a recap from one of the presentations from that day. This has been the Angus Conversation, an Angus Journal podcast.